Okay, your first project is going to use selection tools. So you're going to open up these documents here. We've got some sushi and a bowl and a plate with some chopsticks. And what we want you to do is to select some of the sushi and put it on the plate. Now you can do this a couple of ways. You can use the marquee tools and they'll select a shape for you, but you can see that doesn't really work for this. So if you want to deselect something, just choose deselect or Command D on your keyboard. So these tools here, they're great for selecting shapes. For example, if I had a perfectly round piece of sushi, I could hold down my shift key and drag a circle out. That's just not the case here. So I'm going to deselect that. Selections can be used for all sorts of things. I'll just show you an example here. If I do make a selection like this, I can copy it and paste it into another document. So I have this document open and this document open. So maybe I want to put this sushi into this here. With the selection, I can take my move tool and I can just click and drag it over into the tab of the other document and then let go of that tab. Now you can see that's not a good selection because I've got all this other stuff there. But that's one way of doing it. The other way is to simply go Command C and Command V. So Command C to copy, and then you go to the other document, Command V to paste. So you can always copy and paste things. If you have a selection, you can also delete with it. So if I make a new selection here, I hit delete, it'll cut a hole of that shape of the selection in the particular layer that I'm working in. So I'll undo that. The other thing you can do with layers, I create a new, not layers, selections. I create a new layer here, and I create a selection. I can fill in that selection with a color. So I can use my paint bucket tool to fill that in, or I could use my gradient tool, and I can fill that in with a gradient as well. So selections can be used to select things that you're going to copy and paste, or you can use it to delete things, or you can use it to color spaces as well. So we are going to get you to select a piece of sushi. I'll just deselect that. I'll show you what your other options are here. You can use these lasso tools. The polygonal one I'll show you is good for clicking as you go around the shape of an object, but it doesn't really work very well with some of these items, just for the simple fact that it's good for something that's very geometric, and sushi is not very geometric. So we would want to use one of these other options. You could use the lasso tool, and you can always drag your mouse around the outside of that thing that you're trying to select. But the problem with that is that unless you have a really steady mouse and a good eye, you're not going to get a perfect selection. So that might not be the best choice. You could try the magnetic tool. It'll try to guess where the outside of that object is as you mouse around it, and then you just click and it'll try to make the selection for you. But as you can see, it didn't do a great job here either. So I'm going to deselect that. Show you what your other couple options are. You have your quick selection, a magic wand tool. Magic wand tool is great for selecting a color. So you see there I went and clicked on the yellow, but it didn't click on all or select all the yellow because there's different shades of yellow here. So if you want to do multiple selections with a magic wand tool, hold down your shift key and then just keep clicking until you get everything that you want. So that's another way of selecting something. And then the last selection tool you have is your quick select, and the way it works is you just paint over the item that you want to select. And you can see it does a pretty good job, but again, it's not perfect. And why I'm being so particular with this is quite simple. When you're working with selections, you want to make sure that you do a good job and you have a nice clean selection to work with. So I'm just going to select this piece of sushi right here, and you can see I didn't get the bottom of this. So if I really want to be particular with my selections, I've got a couple options up here. I can go to select and I can choose to modify my selection by making it smoother or expanding it, contracting it. If I hit expand, it's going to make it bigger. If I hit contract, it's going to make it smaller. Or if I hit grow, it'll make it a little bit bigger. And so I can do that a few times if I want. Or what's better is if I click on this button down here in my tool box, it's called Quick Mask. And right now my Quick Mask is allowing me to paint in or paint out what I want to select or what I don't want to select. So if I paint out here, you can see that I'm getting rid of a selection I don't want. So how it works is you have to have your colors down here set to black and white, and to paint in like this with the green, you have to have black and white. Or if you want to paint out, you just switch these around by hitting X on your keyboard, or you can hit the little arrow here, and then you can paint your selection out. So it saves you switching from the paintbrush to the eraser tool and back and forth. Once you've got your selection, hit your Quick Mask button again. Then you can take your Move tool and just drag it onto the document that you want. And there's your piece of sushi. Okay. Now that might not be entirely convincing because I've got all this white down here, but for all intents and purposes, it looks not too bad. If you really want to touch that up, you could just take your Burn tool, and you could always burn the bottom of this a little bit to make it a bit darker. And you could even take this background and burn it down there. And then if you really want, you can get into this layer here with the sushi, and you can erase out all that white that's there that we don't want. And then it'll look like a much cleaner selection. So there's all sorts of ways to do this. No real right or wrong. But what we want you to do for yours is simply select it and place it onto the tray. Okay, so yours doesn't have to look just like this one. You don't have to be as particular with it. But if you are, that's great. That's fine. I'm not going to complain about that by any means. So I'll just erase a little bit around here. There we go. And there you have it, a piece of sushi. So you can add a couple pieces on there. It's good practice. Now if you want to use this document here, you can just take your quick selection tool, select the piece that you want. Now if you want to do more than one piece, you can hold down your Shift key and you can select another piece as well. So that's a quick, easy way to do that. And then you just hit your Move tool and you click and drag it over to the document that you want it on. And there it is. Ooh, those are big pieces of sushi, really big. So if your items are too big, just hit Command T on your keyboard. That's free transform, and then we can shrink these down to a reasonable size. We'll hit Enter and move them into place. Now this isn't going to work because the way they're lined up. So I'll take the Marquee tool, I'll cut that, and then I'll copy it and paste it into place, and then I can move it around layer by layer. There we go, a couple pieces of sushi. So that's what you're going to do. That's your first project, is to work with those selection tools and basically move sushi onto the plates. That's it.